It all started with a text, or a MySpace ping, or maybe an MSN notification. The message simply read, "Oh yeah, party at mine Saturday 12th Jan. BYO chicks and grog. No knives, rents will crack it at me." The place was Melbourne, Australia, and the time was early January, the year 2008. Corey Worthington was excited. Why? His parents were going on vacation, setting off for a few weeks of relaxation and much-needed rest. Corey was to be left as Lord of the Manor, guarding the precious family home, a task which he was dutifully prepared for. "Don't have any parties, son," said Dad sternly. "Yeah, nah, no worries," replied Corey. "Don't have any parties, son," said Mummy. "Yeah, nah, no worries," retorted Corey. All was well, and off the parents went. Big mistake. The party was on. Corey had texted everyone in his phone, flooded his MySpace, and slid into all the MSN DMs he could find. This was going to be fun. 6 p.m. People started rocking up, not too many to begin with, a reasonable few. His house was large, big garden, lots of space, fun all around. Music pumping. Music pumping. Music pumping, drinks clinking. The upstairs of Corey's house remained vacant, a peaceful chamber of solitude from the antics unfolding downstairs. Things were going to plan. All was well. 9 p.m. How would NASA organize a party? They'd plan it. However, at around 8 p.m, the sheer lack of planning for Corey's party began to become evident. The daisy chain of notifications had set in, and more people were flooding into Corey's house. Was Corey perturbed by this? Absolutely not. Crack on, he said. People had begun flooding the upstairs, and the steady stream of booze had begun showing its effects. Downstairs there was mild destruction occurring, a table smashed there, a broken cupboard there. By all accounts, it seemed our man Corey was all part of the action. At this stage, it appeared the party was already approaching local legendary status. However, nothing could have prepared young Corey for what was coming his way. 12 a.m. I went to an ISIS birthday once. The musical chairs were a bit slow, but fuck me, Pass the Parcel was quick. Maybe not quite as quick as Corey's party had descended into the abyss, however. You see, by this stage, partygoers had begun spilling into Corey's front garden, and then, almost predictably, spilling into the front gardens of his neighbours, lest we forget that this was a residential neighbourhood. Well, the neighbours weren't very happy with this. How dare they? They were somewhat concerned by the mass of drunken youths gallivanting through their gardens and smashing their fences. As such, calls began coming in to the local police. 1:30 a.m. By this stage, there were about 500 people attending Corey's small gathering. This prayer meet had got out of hand. The cops came, but by the time they arrived, Corey's whole street looked like it had been stripped from Mad Max. Cars were being smashed, fences destroyed, roofs climbed, and bottles thrown. The police were out of their depth. "Bring the dogs," cried an officer. "You got it, copper," cried another. The dogs came. They were ineffective. There were simply too many people. This was no longer a party, you see. This was now a riot. 4 a.m. You know, I lost my watch at a party once. Saw a guy stepping on it, and he was being inappropriate with a girl. I walked up to the guy and I punched him square in the nose. No one does that to a girl. Not on my watch. And certainly not on the watch of the Melbourne Police Department. The dogs hadn't worked. The officers hadn't worked, and the promise of a shrimp barbie to the complying partygoers hadn't worked either. It was time for the chopper. In the chopper swooped, and would you believe it, it seemed to be working. The drunk revelers, startled by the chopper, began to run away. The cops started to wrangle up the routing youths, arresting those they could while bottles were being hurled at them from those still there. The mass of retreaters only made the chaos even more palpable. Around this time of the evening, the hero of the story, Corey, was also arrested. Corey's story. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to think of a title for this. 7 a.m. The night had winded down. Everyone had either retreated, been arrested, or passed out from copious Scotch abuse. As the dawn broke on a beautiful Melbourne, the true extent of the damage became evident. Lawns were ruined, fences destroyed, cars smashed to bits, and glass littering the streets. Truly, this had been a night to remember. So Corey was arrested, but not for long. Turns out he did pretty well out of the whole thing. You see, the cops felt that there was no punishment they could enforce that would meet the unbridled rage of Corey's own parents. Little did they know, however, that Corey hadn't told his parents, and had, in fact, gone into hiding. His parents had to be told the whole thing by the police themselves, and were also treated to a $20,000 fine. Ouch, that's got to sting. Corey, on the other hand, had been enjoying some celebrity. The media had fallen in love with the story of his party, and many hilarious interviews were created and thrown onto the internet to be memed forevermore. I will leave you with some words of wisdom, and these are directly from the man himself. If you fancy throwing a party like this, don't. Just
get me to do it for you.
Get you to do it for you. Not don't do it.
Nah, get me to do it for you. Best party ever so far. That's what everyone's been saying, so...
Finn. Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, stay coy.